Today we need to get into fans getting very shocked over something that happened. And then we have Scooter Braun being talked about again in terms of forcing Jung Kook to go solo and why people think that. And then we have Jung Kook saying yes in a video that went viral. This is unrelated to the Scooter Braun situation, it's just about a video. So hey Dumplings, is Dave Desai, hater or not, make sure you're subscribed with the notification bell on. Make sure you join us fangirling on Patreon and let's go. There was a funny video that went viral and people are bringing up this video again because BTS is in the military and they want to watch a lot of old videos. And so a lot of old videos have been resurfacing, especially ones that showcase the boys' personality. Now it's these videos that we see which include their series of Bangtan Bang on YouTube and also several of the series that they have on Weverse and other platforms that make us feel like we know them and also give us a window into what they do on the day-to-day that we may not know. I think it's pretty easy to watch someone for a couple hours every few days to think that we know them and what they do on the day-to-day. But there's so much time in between just seeing them live for a few hours that they may do things that we maybe didn't know that they did. For example, drinking is something that I think a lot of people are aware that they do, but maybe don't really care about. And we don't think about how they probably drink socially or they might drink with dinner or whatever. Especially in Korea, it's less of a big deal to drink. So there was a video from one of their behind the scenes moments, and if you do want to see those behind the scenes moments or reality show moments, make sure you check it out on Patreon. I'll leave a link at the top of the description. It's so fun and we have a wonderful time watching those moments over there. A question was asked specifically to V, and one question was if V has beer in his fridge. Very quickly, the BTS member answered that he didn't, and then Jung Kook replied that V actually did. Of course, V and Jung Kook probably spent a lot of time together, and they probably stayed at each other's apartments a lot. And of course, Jung Kook would want to know. I want to preface that obviously drinking beer is not a big deal, and especially in Korea, it's definitely not a big deal because they do it all the time, but it's something that I think a lot of people in the community aren't aware of. I think that they think that the BTS members are alcohol-free, they don't curse, they don't do any of those things because they're supposed to be like these perfect idols, when in reality, these are things that everyone does, and especially BTS members do. I mean, for most adults and most people who have hard jobs, they enjoy a nice drink at the end of the night because it helps them relax and unwind. BTS is no different. In fact, I would say they are going to be more prone to this because their job is very physically demanding. People were laughing over this idea that Jung Kook was very quick to say yes. And this moment went viral again as people were excited to see a side of the BTS members that they haven't seen before. And also seeing how eager Jung Kook was to respond to say that V does have beer in his fridge. And this kind of goes into this idea that we don't really know the boys as much as we would think that we do. This goes for any celebrity, right? Because while this is not a bad thing and really isn't anything bad at all, this is something that a lot of people were shocked about, that the boys drink regularly. Because I think a lot of people associate drinking with this idea of an older crowd, whereas a lot of people like to think that BTS are very young, where most of them, even around this time that they were making this video, were almost in their mid to late 20s. And in most cases, this is old enough to have children or get married. This also goes for this idea that people don't know that the boys can either have a temper or can get upset or have emotions like a human being, which I think every time the boys do something, it becomes such a big shock that they feel the same thing that most people do. I mean, it was this big shock that Jung Kook would even talk about or sing about sex, whereas this makes sense to me because he's a human being and obviously he's gonna have sex. If not now, at least at one point. However, there was a clip or story that was floating around that went really viral. And so when Jung Kook was doing his promo for his album Golden, he was doing a fan call at one point. So if you're unaware of what this is basically fans buying or winning a fan meet with the BTS members. If they buy enough albums or whatever it is, some people get lucky and they buy one album, and then within that album, there's like a ticket to get a fan call or something like that, whereas some people will buy like 50 of them to get them. And so there's a lot of people in the community who would continuously buy hundreds of albums just so that they can win those. Now, because these things are so rare and so sought after within the fandom, I mean, you can't even purchase these, I don't think. People get very upset about who gets to have the privilege of meeting their favorite celebrity. Now, there was a story that was going around that went viral where someone got a chance to meet Jung Kook during that promotional period. And he or she said something really rude to Jung Kook, and Jung Kook ended up hanging up on this person. This person was maybe believed to be a stalker, or at least this was the story that was going around. Of course, Jung Kook wouldn't just randomly hang up on someone, so people thought that this person must have been very rude, which is very interesting to me because there's no evidence or video footage of this even ever happening. This is a story that someone told and it went viral and people believed it to be true. Because I think they want to believe it to be true, that Jung Kook would just hang up on a stalker or someone who was really bad. Now, a couple of things I think that could have happened here would be that if he did hang up on a fan who was in a video call, it probably would be due to a connection error, and he probably would just call them right back. But if the specific fan was recording the interaction or not, I don't know if they get sent the footage after or how it works, then that specific fan who got the footage back probably would just post at that moment where they lost connection. It would make it appear like Jung Kook hung up on them. And they would probably run with that narrative because it would be a narrative that would go viral. And I guarantee if this is someone who got this and it was like a lost connection thing, but they wanted a viral moment, they would have posted something along the lines that Jung Kook was so mean and hung up on me or something like that. Now, this is if it actually did happen. We still don't know for sure if it did or it did not happen. And this is also why I say that we don't know the boys as well as we would think. A lot of people within the community say that Jung Kook wouldn't even be capable of doing something because he's such a kind person and would even give stalkers a chance to talk to them or whatever. And this is the part that I think a lot of people misunderstand. There isn't a single person, not a single person who is in the industry who is at the same level of success and has much money that Jung Kook has that would still be considered quote unquote innocent. If you do not step up and take accountability for what you do, speak up for yourself, say I don't want to do that, I do want to do that, and vouch for yourself, you will not get as far as Jung Kook has gotten. Also, you would get taken advantage of severely in the industry to the point where you definitely wouldn't ever make it. People can tell when stuff is simply just for corporate greed. That's typically what labels and companies would tell you to do. They would only tell you to do things that would benefit them and that would line their pockets. Whereas if someone were to be successful and seemingly have integrity, they would have to take at least some direction from themselves. And we as the audience can sniff that out when we feel like someone is just more of an industry plant or robot. And we tend to not like that. After all, most people who like BTS constantly say over and over again that they're very different from everyone else. This is interesting because Scooter Braun is someone who has newly come into K-pop, or at least most people think that he does not understand what the boys' characters are and who they are. And they specifically think that Scooter Braun is just going to take advantage of Jung Kook. Now, not only is Jung Kook an actual adult who genuinely would be fine on his own, he probably has his own team of lawyers that work specifically just for him that would be able to push him out of any bad deal. I don't think a lot of people realize how much money can do, and I think most people do realize that, but I think people in K-pop community find it hard to realize that if you have money, you can pretty much have the best protection ever. Now, there was a moment a little while ago that made people believe Scooter Braun would take advantage of Jung Kook. And this was a moment way back when Scooter Braun was in charge of CL from 2NE1. So if you're not aware, Scooter Braun was at one point working with CL to maximize her reach in the American industry, and there was a video where it seemed like Scooter Braun was pushing CL to work solo, because it was hard to promote CL in America or hard to do stuff with CL if she was still going to be promoting with 2NE1. So it allegedly appeared like Scooter Braun was pushing CL to go solo. Now, this was interesting because it later came out that Scooter Braun was talking to someone within the DMs, and this could be Photoshopped, we have no idea, but assuming it's not Photoshopped, it was saying that Scooter Braun was kind of at a loss with CL. The picture or the screenshot alleged that CL didn't sign any specific agreement with Scooter Braun, and thus Scooter Braun couldn't actually move forward with promoting her. And this is something that I think a lot of people kind of misconstrue, which is obviously if she did not leave the group and she didn't sign any agreements with anyone, that person that she didn't sign the agreement with wouldn't be able to do anything for her, cannot promote her, cannot push her on TV, cannot do anything, because that would be interfering with what YG is doing. And the fact that she chose to not sign the deal means that it never got to a point where Scooter Braun could even take advantage of her. There was no being taken advantage of because she never signed anything that let him have any control over her career. But also at the time, CL was very young here in the US. She hadn't established herself as much in the US. And I think now, I think a lot of people do know who she is in the US, but assuming that she hadn't established herself at the time could mean that she hadn't had access to all the resources that would have protected her, should she have signed and should it have been a bad deal. So then she decided to not pursue it. However, if she had all the means of creating a good deal for herself, she probably would be able to renegotiate that contract and decide to do it, or she decided the group was more important. Now, what does this have to do with Jung Kook, and why am I bringing it up? Well, people think that Scooter Braun is going to force Jung Kook to do the exact same thing. And I don't know how I feel about this because I don't think that that's true. You, at any point in Jung Kook's career, could not force him to do anything. There is nothing that would make him pursue a solo career if he didn't want to do that. Let me know what you think. Make sure you check out Patreon for more videos. Link down below. Thanks for the comment right here. Love you. Bye.